Classic World of Warcraft, which is based on earlier versions of the game, lets players experience the world as it was during past expansions, before the original zones and areas within them were updated, or in some cases removed entirely. There are also a few areas that players will never get to experience again, because they were removed so early in the game's lifetime that not even Classic brought them back. For the most part, these were places that only existed briefly during the very early days of the original game, known as Vanilla, but the same has also happened to areas that were introduced as part of later expansions. In this video, we'll take a look at an area that was hidden away high up in the mountains of Outland and removed before many players even realized it was there. This is the story of the Felstorm demons. The Blade's Edge Mountains is one of the 7 Outland zones that became available with the game's first expansion, the Burning Crusade. The zone is best known for the large spikes that cover most of its terrain, as well as how difficult it was to navigate while leveling because of its many layers of elevation. Especially considering that it was designed for players around level 65 to 68 at a time when flying mounts weren't available before level 70. Players also found the main storyline to be somewhat tedious because of its repetitive quests that often involved a lot of grinding. As a result, many levelers ended up skipping the zone altogether. The Blade's Edge Mountains actually had a second storyline, one that started in Shadrath and sent players to the Vortex Pinnacle high up in the mountains in the western side of the zone. Here, the Ogres of Agrilla and the Shatari Skyguard offered daily quests, as well as a questline that had them collect crystals from the environment, fight demons in the 2 nearby forge camps, and complete other tasks within the Vortex Pinnacle. Finally, they were sent up north to the Crystal Spine, which could also only be accessed by flying mounts. Apart from the quests, players could also use the crystals to summon powerful elites that each required a small group of players to take down, similar to the Twilight Hammer elites from Silithus. Unlike the rest of the Blade's Edge Mountains, which many skipped, the Vortex Pinnacle and the Crystal Spine were decently popular because of their daily quests, especially in the period before patch 2.4, when the Isle of Quel'Danas was introduced. Some of their faction rewards were also among the best item options outside of raids. What many players don't know is that when the Burning Crusade expansion first released back in 2007, neither the Agrilla nor the Shatari Skyguard camp existed, and the surrounding area looked similar to the rest of the Blade's Edge Mountains without any crystals. The 2 nearby forge camps were also guarded by 2 elite Wrathreavers, who still technically exist, although in the present day they don't move, can't be targeted, and pretty much only serve as decoration. The Crystal Spine also used to look different, as most of it was taken up by the demonic Felstorm Point, which was larger than any of the other forge camps. Felstorm Point also used to have its own mini-boss, the level 71 elite Eredar Stormbringer, who could be taken down by a small party of players. Unlike most similar elites, the Eredar Stormbringer wasn't immune to any crowd control spells, so given the right preparation, some classes could actually solo him, although the fast respawn time of the demons in the area made it somewhat difficult to kite him. When Warlock players learned that the Eredar Stormbringer wasn't immune to the Enslaved Demon spell either, they even began using him as a tool to farm the nearby demons and elementals, who all had a chance to drop valuable elemental motes. Neither Felstorm Point nor the early Vortex Pinnacle had any quests, and they were mostly visited by explorers who had just gotten their flying mount, as well as players looking to take advantage of the fast respawn time and high drop rates of the NPCs in the area to farm cloth and motes, which was the primary ingredient for crafting during the Burning Crusade. When the expansion got its first content update in patch 2.1, otherwise known as the Black Temple patch, the Vortex Pinnacle and the Crystal Spine were remade to better suit the new theme and storyline. As a result, the elites that used to patrol the area were removed or made inactive in the case of the Wrathreavers. The Felstorm Point was also removed in its entirety, and the space it occupied was instead used as an alternative option for the same daily quests that players could get from the Vortex Pinnacle. When World of Warcraft Classic progressed to the Burning Crusade in 2021, the Blade's Edge Mountains appeared as they were during patch 2.4.3, which was the expansion's final patch. This meant that the Vortex Pinnacle already existed in its updated version, although the questline was intentionally disabled during the expansion's first phase, in order to simulate the original experience. The Crystal Spine was slightly different, because some of its quests, the ones relating to the Consortium faction, were actually available from phase 1, even though they had originally been introduced at the same time as those of the Vortex Pinnacle in patch 2.1. Neither Felstorm Point nor any of the demons that used to inhabit it returned in Classic, and since their removal in patch 2.1, more than 18 years ago, most players have forgotten that they ever existed.